Minister have been criticized from all quarters for dissolving the House of Representatives and deciding to go for midterm elections. Many constitution experts have also termed the move unconstitutional. Meanwhile, the opposition alliance, including Nepali Congress, has decided to knock on the doors of the Supreme Court to reverse the move. Good morning, I'm Sarah Chitrakar and these are the headlines of the hour. The President and Prime Minister widely criticized for dissolving the lower house. Opposition alliance, with the support of 149 lawmakers, decides to go to court against the decision. CPN UML demands clarifications from 11 leaders of its party, including senior leader Madhav Kumar Nepal, who signed in favor of making Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba the Prime Minister. A study shows the Pfizer and AstraZeneca coronavirus vaccines are highly effective against the Indian COVID variant. And Atletico Madrid fight back against Valladolid to pipe Real Madrid by 2 points to clinch their 11th La Liga title. The political alliance, including the main opposition Nepali Congress, has decided to conduct a joint legal and political movement against the government's move to dissolve the House of Representatives. The meeting held at the Parliament building in New Baneshwar yesterday between the opposition Nepali Congress, CPN Maos Centre, the Upendra Yadav faction of Janata Samajwadi, the Madhav Kumar Nepal faction of CPN UML and Rashtriya Jana Morcha decided to carry out a joint movement against the government decision to dissolve the House of Representatives and go for midterm elections. The opposition parties have united to legally and politically oppose the move to dissolve the House of Representatives, citing it as unconstitutional, undemocratic and a regressive move. The leaders have prepared to file a case at the Supreme Court along with the signatures of 149 lawmakers, as the Prime Minister and the President mutually made the move to dissolve the Parliament on Friday midnight. The leaders have opposed the President's move to dissolve the House of Representatives instead of appointing the Prime Minister, despite the opposition alliance presenting the signatures of a majority of the lawmakers to the President. The opposition has also blamed the government of trying to create instability, uncertainty and anarchy in the country. Meanwhile, Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba, through a press release issued yesterday, blamed the President and the Prime Minister of exploiting the Constitution. Deuba blamed the President for unconstitutional neglect, as the President had a demand appeal for the premiership within less than 24 hours. Deuba termed the move as a joint conspiracy by the Premier and the President. House Speaker Agni Sapkota has called the move to dissolve the House of Representatives as unconstitutional and undemocratic. Issuing a statement yesterday, Speaker Sapkota said that the dissolution of the lower house was against the Supreme Court verdict issued on 23rd of February. The statement also said the dissolution of the House of Representatives cannot be termed natural and constitutional, as a basis for the formation of a new government had been presented in accordance with Article 76(5) of the Constitution. Speaker Sapkota said that the nation's priority has been shifted towards the political crisis at a time when it should have for the COVID-19 pandemic. Two claims were presented to the President seeking for the appointment of the Prime Minister yesterday. The President, however, did not accept both the claims, citing lack of trust. Meanwhile, the President dissolved the House of Representatives on Friday midnight as recommended by the government. Meanwhile, questions are being raised over the abrupt role played by the President in the national politics. We have more in this report.
Prime Minister KP Sharma Oli, who had failed to win the vote of confidence in the House of Representatives 2 weeks ago and had informed on Friday afternoon that he did not have majority in his favor, a few moments later suddenly claimed that he had majority to become Prime Minister. The Premier, including lawmakers who are against him, presented a false report. On the other hand, the opposition alliance put forward Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba to be the next Prime Minister by gathering signatures of 149 lawmakers. It was not possible for both the sides to obtain majority votes. However, President Vidya Devi Bhandari did not even bother to investigate the claims made by both the sides. However, the President paved way for the Prime Minister to dissolve the House of Representatives. Meanwhile, many people made comments that the president was unable to see the possibility of anyone else becoming the prime minister except CPN UML chairman KP Sharma Oli. President Bhandari had also approved the dissolution of the House of Representatives on 28th of December. Meanwhile, the Supreme Court reinstated the lower house, claiming that the move was unconstitutional. However, the president has once again repeated the same old game on the recommendation of Premier Oli. There have been numerous steps taken by the president on the recommendation of the prime minister without taking consultations from anyone. Constitution experts opine the move of the president to dissolve the House of Representatives has been against the constitution. President Bhandari has also missed on presenting her duty by staying neutral at this juncture, consulting with experts, political parties, the parliament and other stakeholders. With the president being involved in such controversies time and again, people have started to question the system.
The ruling CPN UML has demanded clarification from 11 leaders of its party, including senior leaders Madhav Kumar Nepal and Chalnath Khanal. The party has initiated process to take action against 11 lawmakers out of 26 who signed in favor of making Nepali Congress President Sher Bahadur Deuba the Prime Minister. In the standing committee meeting held at the Prime Minister's residence in Balwata yesterday evening, clarifications were sought from senior leaders Madhav Kumar Nepal and Chalnath Khanal, as well as from leaders Bhimral Mukunda Neupani, Kalyani Khadka, Ramkumari Jhakri, among others. They have been given until Monday morning to turn in their clarifications. Meanwhile, clarifications have not been demanded from 15 other leaders of the party, including Surendra Pandey, Ghanshyam Bhushal, Gokarna Bista, who had signed in support of Deuba as they had been in contact with the party. Meanwhile, leaders of the Nepal faction have accused party chairman KP Sharma Oli of disrespecting the constitution and claimed that they could not support him. The leaders of Nepal faction have also stated that the party action to be taken against them would not affect them. The president dissolved the lower house and called for midterm elections on 12th and 19th of November, which many have called a breach of constitution. To discuss on the latest political development in the country, our colleague Abhyuday Shrestha had conversations with leader of Nepali Congress, Dr. Minindra Prasad.
It's been quite comprehensive. It covered almost the entirety of the statement that we came out with today. The gist of it, we will challenge this decision constitutionally, we'll challenge this decision politically. But I mean, I have to actually expand on that and then emphasize that we are in the middle of pandemic. What the government has done has put lives of tens of thousands of people in harm's way. So we have to be very careful that whatever we do politically, constitutionally, does not put many more people in the harm's way. It's very clear that it's a conjoined move. I mean, if this is done in concert between the office of the Prime Minister and office of the President, that's very sad. Most of the things the President of Nepal does is upon the advice of the Prime Minister. But this is one area, and there are very few areas like this where President's judgment is required. Decency of the office is required, and that was not shown. He has absolutely no intention of holding the election. If he had intention of holding election, and if I put myself into his shoes, then I would have clearly seen that there are 22. I mean, I'm repeating this: 22 more days for him to ask for the vote of confidence. He could have waited for that, and meanwhile, the Parliament could have debated on budget, on the policy speech. Parliament could have delivered on that, and then Prime Minister also could have gotten a chance to assess how the pandemic unfolds, and based upon that, he could have taken a firm position. I'm 100% sure that the court will do that because we have a just case, we have a valid case, and I have enormous amount of respect for court. Court has lived up to the expectation of people in Nepal all through its long history, and I'm sure it will do that, rise up to the challenge that the nation is facing today.
A total of 8,591 COVID-19 cases were reported yesterday. Likewise, Nepal also reported 129 COVID-19 deaths, taking the national death tally to 6,153. There are 115,806 active cases in the country at the moment. Meanwhile, 8,848 individuals have registered full recovery, taking the recovery tally to over 383,684. Meanwhile, there are 886 individuals in various quarantine centers across the country. According to the Health Ministry, 20,105 samples were tested for COVID-19 through the PCR method yesterday. In our Public Voice segment, we had asked students in Ilam how have they been spending their days at home during the closure of schools. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
मम्मीहरुलाई च्याट टिप्न सघाउँछु अनि घरैसी कामहरु गर्छु बुकहरु पढ्छु अनि भाइ बहिनीहरुलाई पनि पढाउँछु मम्मीलाई सकेको काम सघाउँछु अनि किताबहरु पढ्छु घरमा मम्मी बाबासँग नयाँ कुराहरु सिक्छु उहाँलाई घरको कामहरु सघाउँछु
यस्तो महामारी फैलिरहेको बेला बाहिर जाने कुरो पनि हुँदैन यहीको घर परिवारसँग बसोहरु रमाइलो गरौ यस्तै घाँस दाउरा
भाइ बहिनीहरुलाई क्लासहरु लिदै उनीहरुले नजानेको कुराहरु पढाउन सिकाउँछु
It's time now for our segment, Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. Here's the question, what's your take on the decision to dissolve the House of Representatives? Your options are A, unconstitutional, B, ill intention, and C, compulsion. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. That's all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Have a good day.